as much time as we spend watching the student athlete compete, we're watching the parents, because we're not just getting the student athlete, we're getting the parents too. And we want great chemistry in the locker room, and that's the student athlete. But parents can also either help or destroy the chemistry of the program. And if a kid is a great kid, but parents don't bring a certain level of chemistry to the program, we don't recruit the kid. And I don't think enough people realize that.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Adam Ellis here, Club Director at NPJ. Today we are joined with the coaching staff from UCF and our Director of Volleyball, Mike G. Mike G, please get us started.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Appreciate that. Well, Todd, Jenny, welcome to everyone who's watching and doesn't already know. We worked together for a little bit when I was out there at UCF. But before we dive into our conversation here, if Todd and Jenny, you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves. Todd, we'll start with you.
Hey, I'm Todd Dagenais, and I'm the head coach at UCF. I'm about to start my 12th year, and I think I really love the home that I'm in down here in Orlando, and happy to be here with you guys today.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jenny Maurer. I'm the associate head coach and recruiting coordinator at UCF. About to start my 5th season at UCF. Before that, I was a head coach at 2 different Division I universities, and before that, a high school coach for 7 years. So been at it a while, and left the position to come join Todd in 2016.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for you guys being here and taking the time to talk with us. And Adam, usually you're the one running the show, but you've passed it over to me, and I appreciate that. If we go off topic or whatever, Adam, make sure you bring us back in. We don't want to go over time here on this one. But at any rate, you guys, welcome. First of all, how's everybody doing? How's the family? What's happening out there?
Everything is going just fine. We're starting to get used to this normal of not going into the office, not having our normal daily routine, and we've actually created new routines. We're still recruiting, we're still making our phone calls, we're still trying to stay on top of what's happening around the world, reading a lot, trying to exercise and stay healthy, spending a lot of time with family, which is a positive. That's something that we've all been missing, I think, for a long time. And just, really waiting for this thing to end so we can get back at it again.
Yeah, kind of the same. Trying to pick up some new hobbies, new activities. It was really bizarre pressing a pause button on what was about to start the busiest time of year for us outside of season, which is recruiting season. And spending this time with my family has been invaluable. I think you knew this, Mike, but I had major back surgery in January. So this really has forced me to concentrate on getting healthy again. And this is the best I've felt in probably 20 years. So I can't complain. Obviously, we want to get back to life, but like Todd mentioned, is we're getting creative with recruiting. We're getting creative in our communication with our team. So it's actually, I think, been a positive in a lot of ways. As much as we're still itching to get back.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing well, and I know we spoke earlier in the week, and you filled me in on how the back surgery went. So I'm really happy for you, and excited to dive into the conversation. You bring up recruiting. I think we'll probably get into more recruiting type stuff a little bit later in the conversation. But I thought we would start with a little story time. Not too many people really know a whole lot about my time coaching at UCF, and I don't talk about too many stories, but for all of us that were there, when I was working with you guys, we know that there's plenty. So I wonder, Jenny or Todd, are there any stories that come to mind that maybe are funny now, but wasn't so funny at the time?
Go ahead, Jenny.
Well, I think I could probably come up with a million different camp stories. I know one that predated me getting there. I think some of these stories turned into sagas, right? They're kind of legendary, but I will say, at least I can speak to the time that Todd fell off the golf cart. I'm not going to say that it was Mike's fault. I think Todd fell on his own. Mike was driving, however, Todd was not taking all safety precautions and holding on tightly. And so I want to get that surveillance video, but Mike thought he killed Todd. He didn't. There were just a few scratches and bruises. But I'll leave it at that. I couldn't stop laughing. So
Mike decided to take a turn faster than one should take a turn. I wasn't prepared for it, nor holding on the way I should. And this is not on grass. This is on concrete. And I fell off the cart, did 2 barrel rolls, and ended up in the bushes. And Mike turned around and said, "I think I killed Todd." Yeah. Like South Park, you killed Kenny.
This is hilarious to me because, you know, I drive Mike down to the facility. We live pretty close to one another. And I will get in trouble if I go over a certain speed limit.
Oh, no.
So this is a little ironic to me.
Hey, in my defense, you know, I was following all the local signage for, you know, safe golf cart driving on campus and had my certifications. And yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I turned around and Todd looked like he was dead. But he wasn't, you know, I mean, his, I don't know if you have any scars from the road rash, because I know that was actually, it was pretty extensive.
I turned out just fine. And as I recall, I think I only spilled just a little bit of the Coke that was in my hand.
Yeah. And hey, I want to say, I, you know, as a sort of an apology, I think I remember I hit the vending machine and bought you another soda too.
Well, probably. You always cared that way.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks, Jenny. That's, I remember that clearly, and that was some good times. Todd, anything come to mind?
Boy, you know, I remember, you know, talking to you about the position and what we were looking for. Now, we were really trying to transition the program from being a program that, you know, had been not good. We got it to mediocre, and we were kind of on an upswing. And you and I worked together in the USA developmental programming. And I knew that we needed to bring in somebody who's a great trainer, who had a lot of energy, who the players were going to buy into. And really, you were the one that we talked to. And I remember talking to a couple of USA colleagues, Shelton Collier at Wingate University, former Pitt head coach, former Georgia Tech head coach. And he said, absolutely, without a heartbeat. And I remember offering you the position, being really excited about you taking it, because I knew that was going to be the very first step to us becoming the type of team that we wanted to become. And then Brian comes in behind you and continues to kill it in terms of training where we are. So, but a lot of that started with you, and I know you never got your championship ring based out of it. But there's been 3 since, and it's really has a lot to do with the work that you put in.
Well, I appreciate that. And you know, thank you for saying, and you know, certainly it's mutual, because there was so many positive things and growth, both as a coach and just as a person, from, you know, my opportunity to head out that way and work and learn with you and be a part of the program. So I miss it, you know, obviously, but I follow it closely. And, you know, I'm even wearing my UCF Knights shorts right now, but for the matches that are aired on TV and what I can pick up on the West Coast, it's been really fun to watch the success. And, you know, actually that's a good segue into what I wanted to ask next. You know, as you, have you had time now to reflect on the back-to-back championships in the last 2 years? How do you guys reflect on that?
Boy, Mike, I can tell you the truth. The answer to that is no. It's always what's next. You know that about me. It's always what's next. We won the trophy. We all got to hold the trophy, kiss the trophy. And probably 2 hours later, I was already planning for what was next, which was the NCAA tournament. And then moving on into future recruiting and future years. So I don't think personally I allow myself to reflect on great successes. I know I'll do it when my career is over, but I'm horrible at reflecting on great things that happen in the moment.
Yeah, similar for me. There's, if you're always looking at the past, right, you're not moving forward. But I think I do step back from time to time, especially as people come forward and you realize how global volleyball is and how much people pay attention, especially because of, YouTube and whatnot, talking internationally even to recruits and, hey, I saw your match, your championship match. And it's kind of awesome it causes us to pause, I think, a little bit and go, that was really awesome. But, and of course we have the hardware to show for it, which is great too, but as little reminders. But I think, you have that feeling, you want to experience it again. So you kind of have to move on and start grinding again.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I think with, Adam would probably agree that, I have a hard time turning it off too, reflecting on accomplishments and milestones and big wins. But, kind of to your point, Todd, it's like you're constantly looking for that next achievement, that next first, that next thing that's going to advance your program closer to the ultimate goals that you have. And I don't know, I mean, Todd, and your, and Jenny too, and your experiences, does that even ever end? Say you do accomplish your ultimate goal, I would imagine it doesn't stop,
I don't know that. I think if you talk to any great coach out there, and I'm trying to take a page out of their playbook, is that you're never really satisfied. You're happy, but you're never content nor satisfied. And it's always about what's next. What do we need to do to get better? Where is our weakness? What is the blind spot? How do we fix it? Someone better than us is going to find it before we fix it. And I think that's the drive that makes you stay up late at night and makes you get up early in the morning and makes you really eat and breathe this. I don't think that players and even recruits, I don't think they understand all the time that this is not a hobby for us. This is our job. This is our profession. And while wins are nice, losses are devastating, and a win is nothing more than a relief because now you have to go out and win again to validate the last win.
Well, and I would add to that, no two wins are alike, whether it's a match, whether it's a recruit. I was fortunate to be a part of, as a player, 2 national championships and coming off of 2 back-to-back conference championships. Even though we had a lot of players returning in both situations, they were night and day different. Again, even with experience, you add one person different, much less 2, 3, 6, whatever, and the road to get there, the setbacks, the challenges, it's never linear and it's never the same. So that hunger that Todd's referring to, it's the same. Now it's, how are we going to do it this way? How are we going to do it this time? Because it's not just replicating. It's not just, wash, rinse, repeat at all.
Yeah, no, I get that. And, this is not something that prepared before the conversation, but, I'm just thinking right now with both of you being, parents, having been in the coaching world and at a very high level for a long time, for our parents or any parents, for any players and young coaches that might be watching this, when you talk about losses and how devastating those can be, do you have any advice for all of us on maybe how to either keep perspective or move on or, focus on the next thing? Like, what do you guys do to reframe, reset, and move forward?
I think if I was to give advice to parents, whether it's in club or it's in college, be parents, be supportive. Don't replay the match. Don't even talk about the match unless your student athlete wants to talk about it. Don't ask questions about it. let them process it, celebrate it, grieve it, whatever. And I find myself doing that with my kids in their sports. I try to make sure that we don't even talk about it unless they want to talk about it. Because each person involved in that contest has to go through a mental process, win, lose, or draw. You have to go through a mental process and process what just happened. So I tell parents, be parents. Don't be coaches. Don't be motivators unless that's what it seems like they need. You've got this. You can do this. Then be a cheerleader and be a motivator. But really, I think sometimes, and I found myself as a dad doing this, sometimes I think you find yourself being your child's biggest fan, and then you really lose perspective on reality. I know I've caught myself doing that a couple times. And so the advice I'd give to parents is check yourself to make sure you're not doing the same thing.
Great advice. Jenny, do you want to add?
Yeah, I think similarly, a lot of times after our kids' games, we'll ask them, what did you feel good about? If there's anything you could do differently, what would it be? Do you want to talk? But, we definitely try to stay away from their value as people, as children, as kids, tied to what their performance was, that we love them unconditionally. So to Todd's point, be parents and be supportive. But, even if they had a great game, we ask our kids, well, what did you feel good about? And, and keep it very team focused. So that's what we do. And then I think also to keep them grounded and balanced, it's exposing them as much as possible to other things. My daughter's playing the guitar, and our son totally digs like building things, whether it's paper airplanes or constructing, models of things. It's have outlets, because sometimes those are really healthy distractions too, because you can be upset about a loss for whatever reason, but it doesn't have to consume you. There's balance in your life to other things, and sometimes that helps them kind of recenter too.
Well, that's great advice from both of you, and really, refreshing to hear that perspective, and we hope and encourage that all parents, if you're not doing these things, please consider them, for the sake of your kids, or at least for our athletes.
I will say one thing that I think every parent needs to know is that through the recruiting process, and you said we'll talk more about that later, but us as recruiting coaches, as much time as we spend watching the student athlete compete, we're watching the parents, because we're not just getting the student athlete, we're getting the parents too. And we want great chemistry in the locker room, and that's the student athlete. But parents can also either help or destroy the chemistry of the program. And if a kid is a great kid, but parents don't bring a certain level of chemistry to the program, we don't recruit the kid. And I don't think enough people realize that. There have been some fantastic players that we've let go because we were concerned about the baggage around them. And, in this case, baggage, I mean parents. And most parents are wonderful. But then there's some that have cost their daughters scholarships because just didn't want to take on that challenge.
Todd, has there ever been a recruit that you guys are, has been highly sought after that you've just said, hey, we're going to pass on because of their parents?
Absolutely, 100%, multiple times.
That's unfortunate. Unfortunate for the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how, we're all there, right? We're all there watching, and you might see it or hear it on the sideline. But I think, at any moment, someone can get caught up with just with everything that's involved with being a young club athlete aspiring to play at the collegiate level. And I think, yeah, you can lose sight of the support system comes with the athlete to the college, and that support system is going to continue to play a critical role. And it sounds like it plays a major role in team chemistry, even without them being there in the room.
Sure. And, in our world where we're expecting a lot on the court, we're expecting a lot in the classroom, we really have exceptional expectations for our student athletes. We're trying to choose student athletes who have a good support unit around them, because they're going to need it. They're going to really need to be able to call home and say, hey, this is hard. And they're going to need a positive reinforcement coming back from the parents. So we find ourselves selecting student athletes whose parents will be a great support system for them when things get really tough, which they, as you know, inevitably do quite often.
Well, I want to compliment you, Todd, on you and your program, and Jenny as well. But I think what probably people wouldn't notice by just looking up a team's record, like UCF, but that support system doesn't just reflect itself in the wins and loss columns. And I think something that you had taught me, was winning and championing things, is in everything that we do. And, I just wanted to highlight the work that you did early on with the kind of people you recruited, kept, and mentored before you started winning, and how they were winning in the classroom. And it always, I look at all these things on your social media with a lot of pride, knowing that, the high achieving academic, high quality people going through your program, regardless of the wins and losses, that has been at the highest for a number of years, in fact, I think the entire time you've been there. So my hat goes off to you for that.
Thank you. And, a lot of that really has to do with the staff that was selected. It started with Sam Schweisky and Michelle Chapman, who we all know and love greatly. Sam went on to be the head men's coach at Princeton. Michelle went on to San Diego State, and now she's a mom of 2 and doing really well. But all the people that we brought in, Eric Peterson, yourself, Brian Doyen. I mean, we've had some Nikki Holmes. Gosh, how could I forget Nikki? We've had some great people to help carry that torch, so I didn't have to do it myself. And everybody left a little piece behind when they came and they went, which really allowed us to become where we are today. And a lot of people thought I was nuts for going out and hiring 2 former Division I head coaches to be a part of my staff. I did it for a reason. People said there's going to be a lot of ego in that room. Yeah, there is. There's going to be a lot of ego in that room. That's what I want. And, Mike, you've been in the office, and, every locker room in the country has the days where it gets really chippy and people are yelling at each other and they're not happy with each other. It's no different in our office. We have 3 strong people with 3 strong opinions, can all be completely different, but that's how things get done. You cannot surround yourself with people who are yes people. I want conflict. I want people to contradict me. I want people to tell me I'm wrong. Of course, we all do it in a respectful way, but I want challenge. I want challenge from our players. Say why. I want challenge from the coaches saying, isn't this better maybe? Or I have this idea. And when you have that kind of dialogue that's open and honest and raw, that's when things really happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. And, Adam and I, we talk about that all the time. We're doing this thing now and we're learning kind of as we go. But, I tell them all the time, hey, do you want me to just say yes and agree with you? Or do you want me to try to bring another perspective to things and help you see things that maybe you're not able to see right now because of the other 10,000 things that you're juggling? We had mentioned recruiting, and I think probably now is a good time to go ahead and dive into that. What's happening? What is going on? You had mentioned that recruiting doesn't stop and didn't stop given the global pandemic that we're all facing. Update us on what you can with regards to recruiting.
The first couple of weeks were kind of a frenzy with the stay-at-home orders. None of us knew at the time, how long this thing was going to be. We still don't know how long we have to ride this out, right? So the first couple of weeks, I felt like we were working more because we were moving hotel reservations, we were moving flights, and trying to play cat and mouse with the new qualifiers and whatnot. Now we're hoping to salvage a national at this point. So, it's forced us to look at our communications with recruits, obviously within the confines of NCAA legislation. So we've been having conversations like this with club personnel and putting a lot more out on social media, trying to give them a snapshot of who we are and what UCF is about beyond just the website, right? And that's kind of where we're going right now, is just trying to get our story out there, and then obviously looking ahead to June 15th as this next day for the 2022 class in communication. And then it's always assembling the big jigsaw puzzle of where's our roster, where are we trying to go, what positions graduated and we have to fill. So it's constant communication for us. Obviously, we're in this holding pattern for when we can go out, but we're talking about, okay, if we can't physically have camps at this point in time, what does a virtual camp look like? Just any ways that we can get creative right now with, connecting, making a connection to our program with recruits that we also can't directly talk to.
And I'll tell you, Mike, the ones I feel for right now are the class of 2020, the graduates that didn't have a spot yet when all this happened. And, I would tell them, don't panic. I think there's a good plan for them. They'll have some time that hopefully they're able to find that perfect university for them. But I will caution them, if they don't find that perfect place, don't just take anything that comes along. Go the junior college route for a year. And in that year, try to search out the perfect opportunity. And so for the class of 2020, if you can get a spot, then great. If you don't find that ultimate spot, a junior college is not a bad place for 1 year. You get great experience. You're knocking off some of your electives. Some of your primary courses that you need to take. Right. And then you get ready and you do recruiting and you go through it again. You have a whole year. The class of 2021 is panicking. I'm seeing it all over the country. You guys need to relax. It's going to be okay. We're going to get out there. We're going to see you. It's going to be like it was 20, 25 years ago. I won't say back when Jenny played because Jenny's only 26 now. But
right.
But back in the day when we did recruiting, it was, we recruited the senior class. And so that's really what's going to happen to the class of 2021. They're going to be recruited in their senior year. With the 22s, It's going to be business as normal. I don't really see a whole lot changing for the class of 22s, other than in all this effort to slow down early commitments, it took a virus to really ultimately slow it down. So I think each class has a plan.
Right.
Well, it sounds like, at least with what you're seeing flooding your inbox or coming across your desk, that maybe there's been even a bigger influx of communication from the 21s, or maybe is that what we're hearing?
I think we're hearing from 23s and 24s. And what's funny is, they're telling us their life story now, right? Because volleyball's over. So now they're telling us they picked up juggling, and they're showing us videos of, squatting with their dog in their hands because they don't have access to a weight room. So it's kind of fun seeing a different side of them. It's showing a new side, how creative they can be, how dedicated they are. And because not everybody has access to, a weight room even. So I don't know. We've seen an influx from every class, including young ones.
Well, that's actually good to hear. There's, like you said, there's not a whole lot they can be doing in the gym right now. So why not, kick it up in communication and reaching out to college coaches.
Right.
I find that interesting. I wonder if, maybe we can't evaluate, their physical play, but if you're getting a sense that you're learning a little bit more about the person behind the athlete, behind the volleyball skills, due to all of this.
But remember, Mike, and you were part of this too, you can go to a qualifier and we know in 10 seconds if a kid is athletic enough to play for us. Every school in the country knows that. Now, what kind of person, what kind of student, what kind of a teammate, what kind of a family member, all that stuff, that's all coming out now when we're hearing from these 22, 23, 24s. So whereas we would go to a qualifier, evaluate their athletic ability, and then try to check out their character, now we're starting to learn about their character, looking forward to the day we can check out their athletic ability.
That's a great point. It actually takes us to our next question. Aside from the, things that you can see in the first 10 seconds of watching someone play, the physical talent, height, all of that kind of stuff. Can you hit us with, 2 or 3 things that you guys like to look for when you're out there evaluating?
Yeah, definitely. Todd alluded to this with parents. We look at what kind of coachable athlete we're getting. Are they one that asks questions? Are they one that just says yes and moves on and puts their head down and grinds? Just what kind of teammate are they going to be? I mean, we can't have, 15 very, very big extroverts on the team. We have some that are more quiet, but I think we definitely look at their work ethic and their energy level. I know we joke about that sometimes with, are they energy givers or are they energy drains? And what are they going to be contributing to us? And it's kind of fun to see right now who's putting for our current team, who's putting the video together of, they did that toilet paper challenge. It's really causing personalities to come out even more than we already knew. And that's what we're looking at. What are they going to bring to the table and how are they going to contribute? And by no means are we getting one personality type. It's just how are they going to fit into this? And who's going to be the future leader? Who's going to be the future mom of the team? Who's going to be the one making sure shows up on time? You kind of see how they will fit within this group.
And I try to watch them play as often as possible because I want to see them in every potential situation. I want to see how they act when their team is really far ahead. I want to see how they act when their team is really far behind. I want to see how they act when they're playing well, when they're not playing well. Most importantly, I want to see how they act to a teammate that's really struggling. And then because to me, that right there is character. When their team is struggling or their teammate is struggling, how are they as a competitor? That tells me a lot about their character. And those student athletes that are great in those situations or who are steady in all situations immediately go to the top of the recruiting pile. Because if you are going to be that steady, no matter what the scoreboard says, you're the kind of player that most coaches want in their gym.
It makes sense, right? It sounds like if you can consistently handle yourself and perform when it matters the most, and sometimes it's going to matter a lot when you're ahead and you don't want to slack off. Sometimes it's going to matter more, when you're having to come from behind. But just generally speaking, when it really matters the most, how are you handling those situations? And it sounds like you guys pay a lot of attention to that.
And Mike, it's not just on the court, that it's off the court. I mean, there's a percentage of the evaluation that's done on the court, but a bigger percentage is done off the court. How are they between matches? How are they with their coaches, their teammates? How are they with their parents? Because how they are with their parents gives us an idea of how they're going to be with us. If they're disrespectful and rude to their coaches and parents, they're going to be the same way with us. And so we are really trying to do everything that we can to discern and determine what their character is when they're not even playing at a qualifier. I don't think that club kids realize how much they're watched when they're not even playing. When they're running around with those blankets over their shoulders and their backpacks on, we're watching. How they interact with their teammates when they're sitting on the concrete by the wall, we're watching. What they're eating in between matches, we're watching. Those are all the things that tell us so much about that student athlete that we need to know before we get them for 4 years.
Right. And we're looking at social media too. How are they presenting themselves? We talk a lot to our team when they arrive, or even before they arrive. You are now a part of something bigger than yourself. What is your brand and how are you projecting this is who you are? What is your story saying in social media?
Well, we're getting close to time here, and I really just want to keep diving into this, and unfortunately we can't. But I know that both of you are constantly active out there doing everything you can to help educate, parents, families, players that are going through the recruiting process. So, thank you for always doing that and making time to help spread the word. And for anybody that's watching and interested in hearing more from Todd and Jenny and in that area, I encourage you to just look up them on social media and different outlets to hear them speak more. As we're trying to wrap up here, and again, hundreds of questions that I want to ask, but I'll just skip to kind of the last one to wrap it up. Is there anything that you can share with us in regards to players that might be wondering, what's going to happen in the fall? Is there anything that you can share with us, either your own thoughts or stuff that that the conference or NCAA has shared? Here's what's happening.
Well, I can tell you right now, because I'm on the phone several hours a day trying to put pieces of the story together by talking to different ADs, different coaches from different conferences. All I know is that I don't know anything. I wish I had a better answer than that, because the USA is so big and this virus is affecting different parts of the country so dramatically different that I don't know if it's going to be a one-size-fits-all solution. I don't know what the fall is going to look like. Are we going to have a full season, a partial season? Are we going to even be playing in this semester? Now, the literature I just got today said volleyball season will be in the fall in some capacity, which to me sounds like it's going to be some sort of a shortened season if we don't get started on time. But you got to remember, our athletes have not been training since the end of February. They've lost their entire 6 weeks of heavy summer conditioning that they do. So when we bring them back, it's not like they're ready to go out and face competition and play at 100%. They need 4 weeks. They need 4 weeks at least of weight training, conditioning, and then maybe another week or two of skill. So they're looking at 4 to 6 weeks before they're ready to play. That puts us at the end of September. So if I'm trying to, use deductive reasoning, I'm saying, we're probably going to be starting somewhere in September. But as the leader of a program, I have to have my staff and my team be ready to go on August 8th when we were supposed to report, and assume that's when we're going, and then we'll just deal with it from there. We're asking the players to stay in the best condition and shape that they can with what they have to work with, but there's going to have to be some time where they're working with our professional strength and conditioning coaches to get ready to play. So you talk to various coaches, the time seems to be 4 weeks is what I hear most from most coaches. They feel like they need at least 4 weeks before they can even go out and play a match.
Well, again, appreciate both of you taking the time to meet and chat with us. And it's been really insightful. And, to finish things off, I think it's encouraging for everyone to know that we're at least hearing conversations about some sort of volleyball will take place in the fall. And I think that's something that people can hold on to and know that, we will get through this. We will turn the corner, and, stay safe, be well, continue to take care of yourself in the meantime. And there is volleyball to be looking forward to.
Very true. And Mike, I wanted to thank you. I want to thank you for your support of our program. And, I don't think a lot of people know this, and I don't think you ever received the public recognition that you deserved. But where we are now and what you did in helping to convert our program and transition it to the newer era, the fact that this team has been top 25 pretty consistently in the RPI about the past 2.5 years has a lot to do with things that you and Nikki brought to the table. And so really from the bottom of our hearts in the program now, we want to look back to the program then and say thank you for all the hard work, because it was you guys that put in the foundation that's allowing this group to jump off of and do it pretty well.
Well, thank you for saying, and it was a whirlwind and a great pleasure to be able to be a part of that. And I do appreciate you saying so. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We miss you, Mike.
Oh.
We know how busy you are, and we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us today and give us so much knowledge.
Well, Adam, I appreciate you reaching all the way across the country. I mean, I don't think we could be farther apart than what we are right now. But for taking a look at a program like a UCF and recognizing what we're doing and thinking that whatever that is might be interesting enough to put on a video podcast type thing. I can't thank you enough, Adam and Mike, for thinking about us and wanting to hear our story.
Well, it's very impressive, and even though we're in Oregon, we're still watching and rooting you guys on. So.
Well, and likewise, what you guys are putting out, in education, I think you guys are very much front runners with regard to the learning and the mindfulness of the game and getting, incrementally better every day, especially during this time. But you guys were doing that well before there was a quarantine and we couldn't be on the court. So thanks for we're paying attention to you guys too, and always looking for opportunities to learn. So, if that means getting onto a club website and seeing what they're put out there, it's so refreshing to see that you are diving in even deeper. Your athletes are very lucky to have you.